Hi, I'm Coach Micheal Burt. To get a free copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, text 678-506-7543. Text to get a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature.
Morning. My name is Mark Smeltzer. Welcome to Get Marked Up. This is episode 49. This was supposed to be episode 50, but you know what? We're going to go back one. I'm talking to Coach Micheal Burt today.
Yeah. What's up, big guy?
Man, I'm excited. This is going to be fun because I'm in one of your coaching programs.
Yep.
Which is cool. And you have an incredible fun story about how you got started, which I don't want to know because I already know it. Tell me something I don't know about you, Coach. What is something that you don't normally discuss with other people that most people just don't know about you?
Most people don't know, Mark, that I actually have a really big personality. I have my mom was a hardcore person, right? Growing up, single mom, taught me toughness, conditioning. My dad is the life of the party. My dad's whole mission in life is to have fun, not work, have fun. And worked in a factory his whole life. So I do have a side to me that when people get to know me, they're like, man, you're actually fun. Like you're a cool guy. Like most people see this machine, boom, boom, boom. And I'm very much like that, but I do on a disc profile have a high I. My D is dominant, but I have a high I. I mean, I'm very social. I'm very fun. I'm very upbeat. And in the right circumstances, I can actually be the life of the party. Most people don't know that.
So you can let loose, but most of the time you're working or you're on fire or you're supposed to be that you think you're supposed to be that monster producer.
Yeah, to your point, most of my life I've been a coach, and coaches tell people what to do. Coaches work hard. Coaches are disciplined. They're not lazy, So the persona of Coach Burt is Coach Burt has got to be on point every day. He's got to show up every day. He's got to be on go every day. He's got to be on every day. And that is somewhat of an exhausting part of my work. The number of people I coach in a day, like the calls you're on Monday. I mean, there's 900 people registered for that call. And, there's thousands of people out there. If you really look at how many people we help in a month or how many people we serve that are actual clients, I mean, there's over 1,000 people a month that I'm the coach for, and they expect me every Tuesday and Thursday to bring something and every Monday to be on fire. And you see, and it is a little bit of an exhausting part of the cycle of the business that I've created.
Well, how do you think you could bring more of that fun? Well, I mean, would you even want to bring some of that fun side and be like, wow, he's actually a cool dude, of then just having the Coach Burt persona? How can you mesh the real you with the persona that you've created? Or would you want to?
I think yes, I need to. I think people need to see that. People need to see the all parts of your nature. I think on social media, they need to see the good, the bad, the down days, the up days. Listen, I have down days just like everybody else does. I have disappointments every day like other people do. I have fears and insecurities. I have everything that every other person has. I just don't share it. And I've been coached, as you know, by Steve Carlos and Hank Norman, to Market Media. And I was sitting in New York City many years ago with those two guys. And I said, what's the one thing that will keep me from being a national thought leader? And they said, your inability to be vulnerable. Like, you won't be vulnerable. People see you as a machine, and they don't relate to that machine. A few people do, but
because
not a lot.
Machines relate to machines.
That's right. So I have gotten much better over the last 3 or 4 years at being vulnerable and telling stories and showing you when I'm pissed off, and I'm getting better. But I could always get much better in that area. So I think, but I got to show you the fun when I get out in Nashville. I love Nashville. I love live music. I love having a good Moscow Mule every now and then. I love turning it loose and just having fun, man, and just blowing it out. And a lot of people don't get this. Just a very few close friends. Listen, I've been screwed in my life so many times. I've lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars through bad partnerships, people I thought were good people that turned out to be evil. I keep it very close to the vest and people that really see me have fun and really get close to my inner circle, just because the number of things I've seen in my life.
That's interesting. Can you share a time where you got completely screwed over?
Well, so, some of it I can't share because
confidentiality.
We went through confidentiality agreements and different things. But I've had times in my life where I completely bought into other people and believed they had my best interest at heart. I couldn't quite figure out why they were so interested in me, why they, you know what I'm saying? And I thought, and many times I would go home at night, Mark, thinking it's just too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people are putting too much money into me. They're putting too much attention. They whatever I want, they want to give it to me. Like it's too good to be true, man. And I would have those thoughts, right? And then there would be certain times that I was in a partnership with a person where I go, I don't believe the same thing as this person. Like I'm not all money motivated. I like money as much as anybody, but you know, one of those people used to say, Coach, are you only rich? Because I have a Rolex that my wife bought me. I was too cheap to buy my own self a Rolex. And when I spoke at 10X, my wife bought me a Rolex because she said, I don't.
That was a good speech, by the way.
Thank you. She said, I don't want you to, you know, you're wearing a $10,000 suit. You're going to be in front of 10,000 people. Like you need to have a nice watch. And I appreciated that. But those people would say to me, well, you know, are you rich all of the time or just rich some of the time? Because sometimes I wear a Nike watch. Yeah. And that's not something I would say. That's not me. I don't, am I a wealthy person by some people's standards? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm not solely focused on, like, those comments would come out and I'd tell my wife, I'm like, man, that ain't really us. Like, we don't talk like that. You know, we don't degrade other people. We don't look down on people. That's not where I came from. It's not where I want to be. So I think there were these indicators, Mark, like little yellow flashing lights saying, hey, check this out a little bit deeper. So now I'm much more cautious about the partnerships I get into. I'm much more hesitant. They're vetted a whole lot more. They go through. I'm not the only one that makes a decision. I need because I see the good in people so much that, you know, I just enter into partnership with anybody because I thought they were good people. Well, now it goes through another person and I run it through skeptical people, you know, like I want some healthy skepticism, and that's kind of part of maturing. But I don't regret any of that. I needed, although that was expensive tuition, you know, it was expensive maturity. You know, I mean, in today's world, to have a good attorney, I mean, these guys are $500 to $1,000 an hour, you know, and they can very easily add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars very quickly just to protect you. And that's a world we live in. It's a sad world, but it's a world we live in.
Well, what do you feel that is something, because you're a very humble person. You have, you know, good traits. I mean, just speaking to you within these first few minutes is a side that I've never seen before of you. And I know that probably a lot of people haven't either, which is nice, unless it's maybe like a one-on-one coaching session or something, which, by the way, how can we get a hold of you and hire you?
Yeah, go to coachburt.com. We have levels that get one-to-one coaching with me. I really like getting people to my lodge in Tennessee or my house in Florida and spending. That place is beautiful. That's my preferred method, is small group, intimate. Let's coach and work together. Like I was thinking about this the other day. I'm so glad you said. Like, I've been going back and rereading 48 Laws of Power and Mastery by Robert Greene. And if Robert Greene said, "Look, you can come spend 2 or 3 days with me," I would eat that up. Right? I don't care what it costs. Like, just to go and learn under a guy like that for a couple of days. Well, there's people out there that, you know, I'm big on these coaching summits that I do where I teach you how to speak and coach and train and make money coaching. That's kind of the version of what I'm moving toward, is come to the lodge. I'm going to do them in groups of 5, small group, 5 people, me and 5 people for 2 days. And I'll teach you everything I know about building a multi-million-dollar coaching company. And then I'm doing it in groups of 50, right? When they let us have the 50 people, but to me, it's still intimate. It's not 5,000 people. It's, you know, so there's the version we're bringing out to where it's me and 5 people for 3 days, and just ask anything. We'll go through everything I've learned. Let me tell you every mistake I've made. Let me tell you what works. Let me tell you how I pivoted. Let me tell you how we generate revenue, all those things.
Well, so how important is it you brought up a really good point with that. How important is it to learn from someone else's mistake other than your own?
100% important. You don't have to learn the hard way. The school of hard knocks sucks, man. And you can go that route if that's what you want to do. And I've certainly done that. But now I slow down. See, we get so excited. We want to do something so bad. We will sell our soul out to the devil, man. I've been in bad publishing deals. I'm sure in your line of work, you've been in bad deals. You know, I mean, and that, you know, and you're out there in Hollywood. And I mean, you know, I mean, the 48 Laws of Power, he really wrote that book because he spent time in Hollywood, and then he spent time in the music business, and he said the music business was 10 times worse than the Hollywood business was. And that's why so many rappers gravitated toward the 48 laws of power because they felt like the big companies just took advantage of people. And I've been in bad publishing deals where, you think you're going to make a bunch of money, and then at the end of the day, they suck out this, or they include this, or they include this, and your royalty is about this big. So I think it's important for me to share my experiences. I wouldn't do that. Like, don't go down that route. Let me tell you why you need to do it this way. Right. And that's what I think that's what a good coach really does for people.
And so you mainly learned from books, or did you get around, like, say, for example, because I know that Grant Cardone, Bradley, people like that. Who was your main coach for the past, even now? Do you have different coaches now than you had 10 years ago?
That's a great question. From 18 to 25, I had one coach, Stephen Covey. Right. And I didn't know him personally. It's called emotional identification. I followed him. I got certified in his 7 habits. If Covey said it, I knew it. Like, I would match up my knowledge of the 7 habits to anybody on planet Earth because of how deep I went with Covey for those 7 years. When I retired from athletic coaching, I got into strategic coach, which was Dan Sullivan, where he taught entrepreneurs how to 10 times their business, what he called it, which was very good for me because I needed structure. I was a basketball coach. I needed business structure. And then somewhere along the way, Cardone came along, and
how'd you two meet?
I have to give him a lot of credit because he embedded a sales DNA in me that I didn't have. I'm a coach. Most coaches don't know how to sell or market themselves. And what I learned under Cardone from 2012 to now is how to become a marketeer. I got to become a better marketer. Cardone has become the modern day P.T. Barnum. There is nobody that knows how to get attention better than him. Nobody. Okay. And so I met Cardone in 2012 or somewhere around there when I had a radio show on the Fox News network. And I was always interviewing big time people. So every week I was looking for somebody. And I was walking through an airport in Chicago and I saw 10X. And I was like, who's this dude? 10X. And I opened up the back cover. I said, man, he looks like a good looking dude. Looks like he's got himself together. And I called his office and said, I want to have you on my radio show. And we clicked. We got off the interview. He said, man, you're one of the best interviewers. You asked better questions. You made me work. He said, you and I need to be doing things together. And I became a regular guest on a show he had on a network called the Cardone Zone.
Right.
And the Cardone Zone was on regular radio. Right. It wasn't on internet. It was on internet and that, but I was on that show 5 or 10 times. And I wrote a book called Zebras and Cheetahs, How Do You Look Different and Run Faster? And he endorsed the book. He invited me to come to Mexico in 2012 to the original 10X event where there were 75 people at. And Bradley, it's where I met Bradley. It's where I met Matt Monero. And it's where I kind of cemented a relationship with Cardone. And I just stayed in touch with him, just like any relationship. And then he gave me the opportunity to speak at 10X. So, all these people that are down on Cardone right now are using this. I never forget people, Mark, that give me a chance.
Oh, yeah. Got to remember where you come from.
And so I text Cardone and I told him that. I'm like, man, you gave me a chance to speak at 10X. That changed my life, changed my family's life. It changed my business life. I will never forget that. I don't care what people say about you. I don't care if people like you, don't like you. And you've helped me build a sales muscle that I didn't have. So for 6 or 7 years, he was a guy that I really looked to. I mean, I got to know him on some level, but I do believe he's been instrumental in my marketing, in growing my marketing skills.
Which is, if you don't have that, no one's going to know who you are.
Right.
I want to know about some of the. Are you okay talking about some of the religious aspects of your side of the business and being spiritual? And because I know that you are a religious fellow,
Yep.
but when how do you make it so that when your material, the material that you create, how do you not oversaturate what you do with your beliefs so that other people who are maybe different beliefs could be more comfortable using you?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that question, by the way. Never. I have a fundamental belief. I'm a Christian. I was raised Church of Christ. I grew up in Tennessee, right in the middle of the Bible Belt. And we went to church every Sunday as a family. We sat in the same pew. The pastor walked around, right, and shook every person's hands. I believe that all talent we have comes from God. Okay. I believe I'm a steward. It's not my talent. He gave me that talent. Okay. And so I am distributing the talents I was given to the world. Okay. And that comes back to the parable of the talents in the book of Matthew. And so to me, everything we have comes from him, the money, the possessions, the talent, the skills. So for a long time, I wouldn't share that part. Like, I was a Christian, but I was kind of a closet Christian. And I didn't talk about that for the very reason you said. People would say, whoever you worship, your creator, your whatever, right? Right. Whatever God you worship. And I finally just said, I had this big spiritual awakening when I was, I don't know, maybe 38. And I had a real recommitment of my faith, which
What
was
happened?
my wife's brother is a pastor, and he sent me a book called The Blessed Life by Robert Morris. And I went to church for years, Mark, and sat up in the top. I didn't pay attention. I wasn't there. Nobody ever said a word to me. I literally just checked it off the box that I went to church that Sunday. And he sent me that book, The Blessed Life. And around that time, my pastor of a new church, I went to worship at a Pentecostal church, my wife's brother's church. I didn't want to go. Chattanooga, Tennessee, small town, less than 200 people. And I cried like a baby through that service. It was a true, raw worship experience. And it woke me up, man. It woke me up from the slumber I had been in. And I'm like, dang, what have I been doing? This is what I've been looking for. And so I really recommitted my faith, found another church. I got in much better alignment with the pastor there, felt better, started giving, started tithing appropriately, starting every day off with, something spiritual, ending every day with something spiritual. And literally my life just took off during that period. And the odd thing is I made more money than I've ever made. I just like things clicked for me. When I made that decision, man, it's hard to explain, but it worked. And so I think now it's so easy to get caught up in material possession things. And I'm not against that. I don't think the Bible tells us that it's a bad thing. Most of the characters in the Bible were incredibly rich. Mm-hmm. They were wealthy. There's nothing wrong with money.
That's right.
And I think too many people, I live in the South, and it's a very hard thing to talk about. Like, I have as you know, I got a jet, and some people don't like me because I got a jet. And they don't care that I got a 7-year-old daughter. They don't care that I use the jet to get home and see my family. They don't care that that's part of a normal work day for me, flying somewhere and coaching and coming home. They don't care. They just don't like it. So I mean, I've had people send me hate mail. We don't care about your condos in Nashville. We don't care about your private jet. We don't care about your houses. That's okay.
It's because they don't have it. They're haters.
I'm like, okay. I mean, listen, if I'm not trying to be boastful, I'm trying to inspire you, man. I grew up not poor, but low middle class, and I'm just trying to show you, man, if I can do it, you can do it. There's no. I'm not bragging about it.
So, what do you think that you just wish? And I love asking this question because a lot of people don't ask this question. What is one thing about like money that you just wish people would understand, that people would get, like you were just discussing? What do you wish they would just understand from your perspective?
I wish they would understand that money is just a tool, and it can create a better life for you. Okay. It can create a better house. It can create a better car. It can create a better long-term wealth. It can create just a better life for you. Like here's a good example. I'm at a condo that we have down in Nashville. It's on the 38th floor. I love it. I didn't grow up going to big cities. I never went to LA. I never went to Miami. I never went to Chicago. I mean, we never went to places like that. And one of my dreams was to at some point, I want a condo high up overlooking a beautiful city. And so, and my mother, who's 60 years old, grew up tough, nurse, scratching and clawing. She's always been hesitant on me. Don't spend money. Why do you need that? Why do you need that? And I told her, I said, go down to the condo, Mom, and just stay the night. So she came down this past Saturday night. There's nobody in Nashville.
Oh, right? This is recent.
Yeah, this is recent. Everybody's quarantined. There's nothing going on Broadway. There's no musicians playing. There's no nothing. There's typically hundreds of thousands of people downtown, and there's nothing. And she came down on Saturday night and just walked downtown with my stepdad. And then they stayed here and they had pizza ordered in and they set up on the 38th floor. And she sent me a picture of what it looked like about 8 o'clock. She said, I love it. I absolutely love it. And here's my point. Without money, I couldn't have the condo. Without money, I can't do things. I can't grow a business. I can't, right? It's like when you study Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have safety and security and all these things, you can't self-actualize. And we are finding out during this period how important money is. Listen, coronavirus is not the number one thing that kills people. Stress is the number one thing that kills people. Listen, I have some of the best doctors in the world as friends. We talk at length about these things. 1,000 people a day die of stress, heart disease. Stress is created by fear, worry, anxiety. That creates dis-ease, that taxes the body emotionally. And that's what kills people. So if you don't think, like you look at the numbers, Mark, right now, suicide rates up, domestic violence rates up, alcohol sales up. I mean, it's crazy. It's
ridiculous.
I think when you take away man's ability to pursue, he becomes destructive. I believe that.
100%. I agree.
So I see work as a good thing. I don't see work as a bad thing. I see work as a distribution of talent. Now that goes back to my faith. God gave me the talent. I am now distributing the talent to help other people. And if I distribute the talent at a very high level, the world rewards me in the form of love. Right? Sometimes I don't get paid. I do a lot of things. Listen, I've done more stuff for free over the last 2 weeks than I've done in my whole life. Giving. Webinars, podcasts, show, it's okay. That's part of the deal. And there'll be somebody that I help as a result of this interview, and they may send me an email. They don't have to send me money, right? They may send me an email and say, Coach, your perspective changed everything for me. Your perspective helped me reconnect to my faith. Your perspective helped me go get it. I got paid when they send me that email. It's not always in money that you get paid. You get paid in love and appreciation and affirmation. Okay. And so that's how you get paid. And then money follows, right? Money follows all of those things.
100%. I agree with that. I'm still curious about your spiritual awakening. I'm so curious about what happened. Well, I know it's probably a personal thing, so you don't have to discuss it. But if you want to, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, it talks about in Revelation, the book of Revelation, the church at Sardis, and it had a reputation of being alive, but it was really dead. And I was alive, but spiritually dead. Meaning, I went to church because I felt guilty, like I got to go to church. That's how I was raised. You go to church every Sunday, right? So for 7 years, literally, I went, sat on the top row, was there, but not there. And something kept saying, man, you're looking for an awakening. Like you need to come alive. This is not working. You're not really, you're not really in the game. Okay. So when my wife said, let's go to my brother's church and just see him, I was like, no, I don't want to go to Chattanooga. I don't want to do it. I didn't know what to expect, Mark. I didn't want to go. And I went down there and it was like that raw Pentecostal, Church of God, music and, and it just hit me, man. It was the thunderbolt that I needed, which is why I cried so much. I was so emotional. And I said, this is it. That was the awakening I had. So for that period, man, I got super, super religious for a period of time. I mean, I would say I'm more spiritual now than religious. But for that period of time, man, every email I sent out had, scripture in it. I was reading the Bible on a consistent basis. I was dug in. Some people thought I was going to be a pastor. I want to start a church. And my wife said, hold on, Tiger. I know you're excited. And before you go start a church, let's step back. But it was a good cycle. It was a good period. Then I would eventually go on to write the book, The Accountable Church, which is a book that most people don't know that I've written, that pastors have. And it is for how do you build a dynamic place where that awakening can happen, And so some of the biggest pastors in the country have it right now. Some of them like it. Some of them don't like it because I'm not a pastor and I'm just a churchgoer. And I don't ever want people to think I'm trying to tell them how to run a church. What I'm trying to say as a churchgoer and as a coach for 28 years, this is how you build something dynamic. Right? This is how you build something that people want to come to every week. I mean, even you take a guy like Tim's story, you know, when
he's great. He's great.
You know, I went to this church out there, and there's as many people watching online as there is in person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and that's tough because I'm a live person. I like to get in the room with people. I want to see your eyeballs. And I know he does too. So how do you build something that people come to every week and they stay excited about, and they are constantly reactivating their faith drive? You know, I talk about reactivating your pray drive.
Yep.
You need to reactivate your faith drive too. And I think that's why I love going to church. That's why, to me, I'm placing myself in a position for the Holy Spirit to do its work in me. Okay. That's why I like going to church. The music, the environment, like my mind is here and my body's here. My spirit's here. Like I'm ready to get coached. So that's why I'm such a big believer in going every week.
The coach is ready to get coached.
That's right.
So it sounds like, number one is your higher purpose, or God in your case. Number two is you. And then number three is everyone else, because you can't hate the middleman. You can't miss that middleman, because without you, your message, your version couldn't be heard. And if your cup is not overflowing, you can't help anybody else.
100%. Yeah, I'm a big believer. You can't give away what you don't possess. You can't give me energy if you don't have energy. You can't give me strength if you don't have strength. You can't give me mindset. Like, you can't give it to me because you ain't got it to give. So I'm a big believer in taking care of myself so I can give more. And in my mind, that's how I train physically. That's the eating plans I'm on. I need energy, man.
Yeah.
I need energy to do what I do every day to help a lot of people. Okay. And so I treat myself almost like an athlete. Train like an athlete, work out, eat, you know, so I can, when I am performing and I'm on stage or I'm playing in the game, I want to be my absolute best. And to me, I don't know how to turn it on and off. I don't care if there's one person. I mean, I've done things out in Huntington Beach that you were at. And there's 4 or 5 people in there.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a great session.
And I've done things where there's 10,000 people. It doesn't matter to me if there's 4 people or 10,000 people. The only way I know how to do it is to give my max effort. That's the only way. There's no off switch when it comes to that. It's not like, well, there's only 5 people here, so I'm going to hold back a little bit. Sure. Once I get going and that engine gets cranked, it's on.
That's where the monster comes from.
That's where the monster comes from. And I love that. That's one trait I think my mother gave me that I love. Like, I love the Michael Jordan thing, the Last Dance they're talking about. And Roy Williams said about Michael Jordan, he's the only player who could turn it on and off whenever he wanted to, but he never turned it off.
That's competition, man. That's something within you. That's spirit.
It is. It's a spirit, you know. And I think during this period, go back to my faith, you know, 2 Timothy, the Lord didn't give us a spirit of fear and timidity. Okay. And so, and I think there's too many people living from a place of fear. Fear is an emotion created by a belief. The belief most likely came from the past. And what it does is it robs your current state while you're worrying about your future.
100%. I got a song that I'm working on. It's called Brand New Day. It's worries of yesterday are today's problems.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
I worry about yesterday when tomorrow never comes. Like, you're only given today. So do the best you can do today.
Right. And that's biblical, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, the Lord gave the people just enough manna for the day, just enough food for the day. Then when they got the food for the day, then they got allotment the next day. So there's all kinds of principles, you know, but you're a creative guy, you know, you're involved in a lot of creative things, and you get the concept of, hey man, I can't live in a spirit of fear. No matter what you do, you're never going to be great. Playing not to lose always guarantees losing.
I'm going to finish on this final question. I want to know about some of the dynamics in power couple, because obviously that's what I want in my life. I want a partner and a friend and a best friend, somebody who is just right there. What are some of the things that people could do if they're married or in a relationship or dating? Some of the things to look out for in the other person that, like, oh, I want that. Like, I want that to be my power person. I know I can work on this. So I know I can work on that with them. Yeah.
You know, this is an interesting dynamic. I study a lot under a guy named Jimmy Evans, who's a pastor who started Marriage Today. And he talks about the dynamics of successful marriages. And here's an odd thing. If you would have told me that me and my wife would be married to each other, I would have laughed at you. I mean,
okay.
He is so different for me. She's a high C personality. She's conscientious. I'm a high D. I'm driven. When I think it, I do it. She thinks it, writes it down, schedules it, does it. Like, we are very different. Okay. She has an engine in her. She has a high prey drive in her when she puts her mind to something, but we go about it totally different. And what's interesting is when I was dating a person for a long time. It wasn't going anywhere. And we broke up, and there was an obvious person that I was interested in. That was the debutante, pretty, involved in charity work, like, eye candy, looks, you know what I'm saying? All the things like, oh, that's the woman I'm supposed to be with. But I never, for some reason, I kept gravitating toward my wife, who was country girl, not as polished, not an academic. You understand what I'm saying? And I couldn't figure out, like, wow, this is crazy. Like, on paper, I should be going to that person. That's the person for me. And for some reason, I kept gravitating toward my wife, which had to be a spiritual thing. And I think sometimes when you have two dominant people, you want to kill each other. I think when you have two passive people, you've starved to death because you can't decide where you're going to eat. So the dynamics of my relationship with my wife that I love is she allows me to be Coach Burt. She don't try to change me. She don't try to say you're working too much. She don't try to say don't get up and go do that. She is supportive of my vision. And she writes about this in her book called Living with the Monster. She said in her book, when I quit competing versus Michael's ambition and I started cooperating with his ambition, our lives went to a new level. So she wrote a small book about how do you live with a guy like me. And at the end of the day, she don't try to change me. She accepts me for who I am. All my drive, all my ambition, all my competitiveness, all my difficulties. And I think that's what makes a very dynamic couple. She's dynamic in her way, but different than the way I'm dynamic.
And so it sounds like don't try to change the other person. Try to, become the different level of, differentiation and mutuality, which is actually from my favorite book, Passionate Marriage. I don't know if you read that one yet, but
oh, nice.
Very similar to what you're talking about. So,
well, I mean, like I said, to your point, it's crazy. We've had rocky times. The first couple of years of our relationship was incredibly, we've been together 10 years plus now. And the first couple of years, I mean, I remember a time that I slept in the pool house and she slept in the bedroom. And it was rocky, man. It was rocky.
But it taught you something. You learned.
But it taught me she's willing to fight for our relationship. And I think that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for a partner where that becomes your partner. Right now we're about to have a new baby. So she's in that period of 4 weeks away from having a new baby and she's miserable. I mean, she's like, can I just have this baby for the love of goodness? Because it's miserable being pregnant. Right. So, she's in that cycle right now where she's just going at a comfortable pace and until she has the baby.
So how can we help you, Coach? I know this is a crazy question, but I'll finish this on this.
I think you're doing it, man. I tell people the number one way you can help me is I'm relatively obscure. I feel like I'm obscure to the world. And the only way for people to get to know me is guys like you allowing, asking me these questions. The questions you asked today are much better than the questions people typically ask me, because you allow people to get to know me on a whole different level, a whole different frequency than the way people see me many times. Because they ask me the same questions. Tell me your story. Tell me how you started. Tell me how you did this. And I get it.
Because it's not you. That sort of stuff isn't you. I want to know you.
Yeah, there's a lot more to me than that. There's a lot more to me than just a coach. Just like TD Jake said, there's a lot more to me than just being a pastor.
Yeah.
I'm a filmmaker. I'm a creator. I'm this. Don't label me as one thing. So I think the way you can help me is share my message with people and let them decide, is this the guy I want coaching me?
Yeah.
Now, and I think that's the reason we do these things, is for people to decide if they think I could be the right coach for them. So thank you that's the number one thing you can do for me, man. Share, just get it out to the world.
Of course I will. Absolutely. 100%. I told you I would, so I'm going to do that. So,
yep.
Hey, I appreciate your time. I know I've kept you longer than 15 minutes, but I just felt so pretty connected. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, big guy. I'm going to jump on another thing, but I believe in you. I appreciate you. I watch what you're doing. So keep on keeping on.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you.
All right. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Coach Micheal Burt, and the #1 book that I've written over the last couple of years that could help you during these unusual times is a book I wrote called Inside the Mind of a Monster. Now, I want to give you that book. All you have to do is text 678-506-7543, because when you text that in, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and it's going to show you the habits and mindsets of top producers and how they attack every single day versus play defense. Don't you want to play offense? Get this book. I'm giving it to you, and I'm telling you, I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature.